All right. I got the message that we were live. Ms. Triplett, you ready?
I am ready.
All right.
Okay, so hello, everyone. Welcome to John Lewis Go Team meeting. Well, we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and publicly noticed. I am pleased to call this meeting of the John Lewis Go Team to order. Our first order of business is to call the roll. The secretary will now take the roll.
You're on mute, Ms. Haddock.
Miss,
My apologies. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
hello.
All right. Please respond present when your name is called up. Mr. Garner,
Present.
Amber Williams, Sable Lomax,
Present.
Miss Laster, Miss Triplett,
Present.
Miss Rump,
Present.
Mr. Cogdell,
Present.
Miss Jones,
Present.
and myself, Miss Haddock, I am present. And Madam Chair, we do have a quorum present.
Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the action item. It's going to be the approval of the agenda. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. It was provided to you and copies were posted. Please take a moment to review the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Nope. Doesn't look like it.
No changes? May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, please say A
A.
Hey,
or raise your hand.
A.
All opposed, say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Next, we're going to approve the minutes. We will review the approval minutes from the last meeting, and I think that was the 15th of November.
yes, it was.
The minutes have been provided to you as well. Are there any corrections? No corrections. May I have a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes?
I motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
All in favor, please say A or raise your hand.
A.
All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Okay, now we're going to move to our next action items, and that is going to be to vote on the swing seat. We will now proceed to vote on the nominated swing seat, and the individual is Miss Tanya Ellis for the position. Miss Ellis on here.
Yes, I am.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and vote on this swing seat, Miss Ellis. All in favor for Miss Ellis being the individual for the swing seat, please say A or raise your hand.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed, all opposed, say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Is that it? You have it, Miss?
I do. I have it noted.
Okay, cool. All right, Miss Ellis. You are now a member of the Gold Team. Swing seat.
Okay, well, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis, for your service.
Sure, anytime.
Congratulations, Ms. Ellis.
Okay, now we're going to move on to the discussion items. We will now move to the discussion item on our agenda for the next few minutes. We will be focusing on creating a budget for the next school year, which aligns with our strategic plan and addresses our strategic priorities. We need to ensure our meeting schedule will permit us to complete the budget and align with the district timeline. We need to have a draft budget completed prior to our principal staffing conference sometime between February the 22nd and February the 28th of this year. Then we will need to have a meeting after the staffing conference and before Friday, which is going to be March 17th, for the final budget approval. Okay, Mr. Gunner, when is the school staffing conference scheduled to take place?
I'm waiting to hear back. The original staffing conference date was scheduled for February 21st, which is during winter break.
Mhm.
I had already had approval that Tuesday to have that time off. So I am waiting for a reply from the district as it relates to the final date. But as soon as I am aware, I will be sure to notify this team.
Okay. So I guess what we're going to do now is go ahead and give you the floor for your report.
All right. Thank you once again, everybody. We will talk about our allocations and how much funding we are projected to receive this year based off of our, projected enrollment numbers. And I want to let this team know that at a high level, I'm not planning to change a whole lot or do, a lot of different things. If you guys approve, I think that the momentum and the trajectory that we are on is the right path. And so I believe that we need to stay the course. So what you'll see tonight will be our preliminary allocations. We'll talk a little bit about how we are planning to use the funds based off of our strategic plan. And, I'm available to answer any questions that you may have or, yeah. So next slide. And so as you can see, the budget process, step one is to review and update the strategic plan and rank strategic priorities, which we've done as a Go team. The next one is the principals workshop for the budgeting, which took place on January 24th. And now we are at step three. It is the initial budget session allocation, where we will look at what's been allocated for the school. Step four is the principals, associate superintendent discussions and review. That's the step five is the Go team feedback session, draft budget presented and discussed. Step six is the HR staffing conferences begin. And then the final budget approval is March 14th. All right. Next. So it says budget allocation meeting. What? The first Go team meeting is when the principal will provide an overview of the budget allocation for Go team members and the general public. Why? This meeting provides an opportunity for the principal and Go team to ensure alignment on the school's key strategic priorities, gain a deeper understanding of the budget allocation, and provide input to drive the direction of the budget, draft budget. And when is happening now in the January, beginning of February. Next. So our priorities. And this slide is talking about the development process. So you can see the principal's role. My role is to design the budget and propose operational changes that can raise, my apologies, student achievement. We want to flesh out strategies, implement and manage them at the school level. We want to focus on the day-to-day operations. We want to serve as the expert on the school. And then I want to hire quality instructional and support personnel, which I think anybody who knows me knows that that's one of our strategic priorities always is talent management, hiring high quality individuals. And then the Go Team's role is to focus on the big picture, positions and resources, not people. And that's so important to say when we talk about positions from this lens, the lens that you have, the lens that I have is not people, but it is the position. And then we want to ensure that the budget is aligned to the school's mission, vision, and that the resources are allocated to support key strategic priorities. Any questions about that?
No,
All
sir.
right. Next slide. All right, so here is our strategic plan along with our SMART goals. And our SMART goals are aligned. So we want to see a 5% increase in the amount of developing and above students each year. So everyone should know that our goals for this year, as far as, sixth grade ELA, our goals this year is 38%, 43%, 49%. Next year, 5% higher than that. When we hit the goal, next year it will be 43%, 48%, 54%. So the first number is the goal for 23 this year, and the second number is next year. Same thing on math. This year's math goal for sixth grade is 38, 43 for seventh, 45 for eighth, and you can see next year it will be 43, 48, and 50. I also want to let you know that the 38% is 5 percentage points higher than where we were landed last year. So that means last year, sixth grade, we landed at 35. I'm sorry, I had a brain freeze, 33, 38 for seventh grade, and then 44 for eighth grade. Does that make sense? Y'all follow me?
Yes.
Okay. All right, our strategic priorities. Okay. Number one, we want to improve students' mastery of core content knowledge in the areas of ELA, math, social studies, and science. We want to close the achievement gap with general education students and students with disabilities. We want to implement STEAM-enriched curriculum to drive interdisciplinary and project-based teaching and learning approaches. And then we want to prepare all students to have the essential life skills to be self-aware, collaborative, and accepting diversity. That is all under the umbrella of fostering academic excellence for all, data curriculum and instruction, and then signature programming. Under the bucket of equipping and empowering leaders and staff, our priorities are prepare and develop knowledgeable staff focused on quality teaching, build teacher capacity in core content areas, ELA, math, science, and social studies, recommend high quality staff for vacant positions. All right. Under building a culture of student support, our priority is create a culture of high expectation for academic scholarship, civic responsibility, and service for students, staff, and families. And then under creating a system of school support is ensure systems and resources are aligned to our school priorities, and then build systems and resources to support STEAM implementation. I won't read all of the school strategies to you, but this is available on our school, on the website, and to each and every one of you as well. Next slide. So we went through the exercise in an earlier Go Team meeting during 2022. And here's how we ranked our strategic priorities. We said number one, academic programs. 2, talent management. 3, culture. 4, systems and resources. Next slide. So for our budget parameters, based off of our priorities, we want to improve students' mastery of core content knowledge in all of the 4 core subject areas. We want to close the achievement gap in general, between general education students and special education students or students with disabilities. We want to implement STEAM enriched curriculum to drive interdisciplinary and project-based learning and approaches. And then we want to prepare all students to have essential skills, to be self-aware, collaborative, and accepting diversity. So our budget should speak to these priorities. Next slide. And then those are, the other priorities, but build and prepare knowledgeable staff focused on quality teaching, build teacher capacity in core content areas, recommend high quality staff for vacant positions. These are the last ones. Next slide. All right, any questions before we start looking at the allocations and kind of where we are for this year?
None on this end.
All right, next slide. All right, executive summary. Let me get this out of the way. The budget represents an investment plan for our school students, employees, and the community. The budget recommendations are tied directly to the school's strategic vision and direction. The proposed budget for the general operations of the school are reflected at $11,010,025. This investment plan for fiscal year 24 accommodates a student population that is projected to be 787 students, which is an increase of 12 students from fiscal year 23. So our enrollment is projected to increase by a little. Again, these are projections, so it could be our enrollment was a lot higher than our projected enrollment was last year. All right, go ahead. All right. So here is our allocations. You see, we're projected to have 787 students. Change in enrollment is a positive of 12. Our total earned is $11,010,025. You can see if you look down at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, those are the projected numbers. For poverty, it's about 659 students. And you can see how much that earns the school, 1,509,811. Concentration of poverty, about 126,000. EIP, REP, 183,000. Special education, 37,000. Gifted supplement, English language learners, and income and performance. Total allocation there. Oh, well, I can't scroll up. Before we go to the next slide, any questions?
What was the expected number at the beginning of the year for enrollment this year?
Last year, I believe they had us projected at about 712, but we ended up, right now, today, we have, I believe, 812 students.
Wow, okay.
I have a question. So for the gifted and gifted supplement, do they test into gifted, or is that like a assessment before they are enrolled, or does that happen in between these fiscal year budgets?
They test in for gifted. So some students may have, may come to us gifted if they tested in, say, elementary school. Some students transfer in, so it's all a projection. Right now, we're in the middle of gifted testing, or we're about to start gifted testing here shortly for students who scored in a certain range on the MAP universal screener. And then those students will, if they, pass the gifted assessments, then those students could potentially become gifted as well. So it's a process. Good question. Any other questions? Okay, next slide. This is the other breakdown of the budget and how we earn funds. And I don't know if it's on here, but the bulk of the staff goes towards instruction, which is our staff, right? I don't know if those slides are on here, but they will be. Any question about our allocations? So I'll say this, with our allocations this year, we are able to have all of the positions that we have currently. I do plan, or would like to plan, if approved by this team, to add only one position, and that position would be a reading teacher. I think that, our data speaks to the fact that we need a reading teacher, someone who can, a lot of our students come to us with tremendous gaps in reading and literacy, and we still have a, large enough number of students who are taking Systems 44, which is a phonics type program doing enrichment. So what I would love to see is for our students who are in that MTSS process for tier 2 and tier 3 to be able to take on an elective day a reading class with a reading teacher who can really spend time and help close some of those gaps. Outside of that, that would be the only position that I would like to add, with keeping everything else that we already have.
Last year, or at the beginning of the school year, at some point, you cut some positions. Are any of those positions ones that you'd look to reinstating as well, or did you find that they're not needed? How does that work?
Yep. So the positions. So remember last year we changed. We created the humanities course, which essentially infused the social studies curriculum into ELA, which allowed us to hire more ELA certified teachers and social studies certified. And then we abolished the reading specialist and math specialist positions, which, to answer your question, I don't think we need those positions back. They are costly positions. So when we start looking at how much each teacher costs, how much each position costs, positions like that are really expensive. So we're able to do what we need to do without them. Good question.
So what you said before was that you're looking to add a reading teacher. That's different than a reading specialist. It's a little bit more hands-on, I would guess.
Yeah, reading teacher, a reading specialist costs more than a reading teacher. For one, a reading specialist is, I don't really need somebody to push in the classrooms, or I don't need somebody else trying to tell teachers what to do. I need somebody to teach. So I need a reading teacher that can teach reading, have students in stations and groups and teach them phonics if they need phonics, or coding if they need coding. Yeah. So I need a teacher, and that's really strategic about that, because again, I don't need a specialist. I need somebody that understands that your role is to teach our kids reading. Thank you for that too, Roy.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, here's our CARES allocation, guys. And here's where this year, let me say this, will be the last year for CARES. And so CARES won't return after this year. All right. So, for sustainability purposes, I don't want to fund positions out of this because they will be inundated, right? Essentially. And so the reading teacher would have to come from this pot of money. And, how we sustain that, if this team approves, will be something that we'd have to be really strategic about next year in order to fund it out of our general funds for 25. So that would be the only position that we would fund out of the CARES funding. Outside of that, we'd be able to use these funds for what I'm proposing that we'd be able to use these funds for would be our Saturday schools, our after-school tutorials. So those extra opportunities for students to be with high-quality teachers, any professional development that we may need, stipends for teachers to come back to school a week early, like we've been able to do traditionally each year. Stipends, attendance stipends. You know, these pots of money could be used for those types of support. Any questions? All right, next slide. So here are some things that the district of the feds allows us to be able to use CARES funds for. You can see technology support, software, mental and physical health, supplemental learning, which is what we were just talking about, professional development for staff, at-risk student population, continuity of core staff and services. All right. So team, what's next? This meeting we had today to look at the allocations, how much money has the school earned? Is basically what we want you to leave here. Hey, we have an $11 million budget at John Lewis and Victor's Academy. And how does this budget align to our strategic priorities? So in this month, I'll have a one-on-one with my associate superintendent, Dr. Woolfolk. We'll have a cluster planning session, position sharing, cluster alignment, etc. Program manager discusses and approves. I'll bring that proposal back to the GO team before my staffing conference to say, hey, here is the staffing, here is, how many of each one of these teachers we have. This is how many, teachers in humanities, teachers in ELA, math, assistant principals, and the contracted services. Got a fire alarm going off. Excuse me 1 second.
Ms. Kirkpatrick, did you do the slides? Who do we thank for the very comprehensive slides?
I'm sitting here taking screenshots of them. They're great.
Right. They're so good, and they're just such a improvement from what we had before. It's very easy to follow, I think he's checking to see what's going on.
Love to have access to these either before or after the meeting.
Right, yeah. I think it really just helps towards like understanding our role, but also just highlighting the things we need to pay attention to. It's a very short timeline, but I think whoever did these, like, kudos to them. They did a really excellent job.
Yeah, that'd be the detail.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wanted to ask whoever knows they're in the school, do you guys already have SEL programming or SEL wraparound services? So social emotional learning,
Yes, we do.
what does that look like?
That's the part, this Miss, what's her name? Miss Miller?
Laura Miller.
Yeah, Laura
Oh.
Miller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ms. Miller.
So, so she.
Ms. Jones, the students have an opportunity through their connections classes or electives to meet, to engage in SEL lessons every Friday. And that's as part of the support of the district's initiative. But they do that through, we use Second Step as a programming, and every electives teacher each Friday conducts SEL lessons where the students are able to share out and address those needs in that area. We support them in that fashion.
Nice. How's that going? Or how effective would you say that is?
For me, it is amazing. We have the best time. I think it's about what you put into it.
Yeah.
So absolutely. My students and I really we grab it by its horns and we let it all go. I'll just have to share out, perhaps separate from this call, some of the activities that we engage in, but I really take it next level.
Okay.
Because I
Sounds
see
like-
and understand the need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry about that. We had over the Christmas break. Yeah, Christmas break, we had a flood when the temperatures dropped really low and pipes were bursting throughout the city. It impacted us. So in our instructional coaches suite, it flooded, and also in Ms. Kirkpatrick's office. And so the district was able to come in and dry everything out. And so right now we have a crew of guys working, and I think some of the dust and stuff got into the walls, or it made the fire alarm smoke detector go off. So that's what that was. So my apologies on that. To jump back in, our Go team, I'm looking under the month of February. So I'll have those meetings with the associate soup, talk about staffing, then I'll bring that back to you guys for your final approval before my staffing conference. And so if we approve as a team, then I'll take it to the staffing conference for a final approval from them. And then we'll have our final Go team budget approval meeting in March after the staffing conference and before Friday, March 17th. Any questions on the process? So tonight was step one, look at the allocations, how much money, what's your priorities. Step two, myself, the team goes back, puts together a proposal for all of the funds, and then we bring that back to you for approval before district approval, and then ultimately final approval by this team.
Sounds good.
All right. Next slide. Is that the last slide, Ms. KP? Oh, yes. So I know, Ms. Ellis, you'll have to do this. Yeah, we can't move forward the right way as a Go team if we have not done the training. Have to do the budget training. Do we have anybody on this call who knows that they have not done that? If you have not.
You see me choosing over there?
I'm not
I
sure
do
which
see you
one, but it's
cheesing.
something that I haven't done. I'm not sure if it's the budget or not, though.
I did it last year. I didn't.
Yeah, we gotta
complete
do
yet
it
this
each year.
It's every year.
Well, I have completed mine.
Monsters.
So we're going to find a list by the end of the week and get it done.
Perfect.
Rejoice, is it possible for you to send that? Or Ms. Tripoli, do you have it? the
Yeah.
link?
Yeah.
We,
All right.
if everyone can get it by Friday, then we'll send a list of, but I can send out reminders. I think everyone knows if you haven't done it. But on Friday, I can send out a final list or a final reminders.
Mhm.
I need
You
y'all
can
to,
probably get it. You can probably get it tomorrow, Joyce. We can have it done by tomorrow.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
is everyone okay with that?
Who just said they're gonna have it done by tomorrow?
You see that last sentence, the video.
5 minutes.
it's
I
located.
think it's longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah,
It's
it
longer
is.
than
It
5
is.
minutes.
It's definitely longer than 5 minutes, but
I already failed it once, half paying attention. I need to actually sit down and read it.
oh yeah, it's
Mhm.
actually really good though. They did a really good job with the
Yeah.
video.
So we'll try to get the final list and get it out to those who need to take the
Budget training.
budget training.
Okay.
Putting on my calendar to do tomorrow.
Thank you, amazing Go team. Any questions again for me?
I did. I had I had a few questions just regarding some suggestions. And I asked the group while you were away how the KSOL STEP SEL programs are going, or the Fridays. And I got some feedback that it's going great in some of the classes. And, I'm happy to hear some of those suggestions. And the reason why I push in on this is because I kind of did some research on, APS's sort of the framework that they're using, and how well the particular CASEL study for SEL, the wide array of opportunities for activities and wraparound services that can be pushed into the schools. And it's not necessarily to add more work for the teachers, but who was explaining to me how much amazingness it was. Can you jump back in there?
It was me, it was Miss Haddock.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, was there any space or room to sort of expand that within the guidelines that we have, of just sort of making the SEL portion a little bit more highlighted? I really do believe that it will help with all of the other goals as far as student achievement and academic achievement, but even more so than that, like having more parent engagement, sort of increasing more camaraderie amongst the students and teachers. And if that is a possibility, like partners like us, partners like Roy, sort of have a little bit more opportunity to push in, because that SEL is so strong. And now that it's, accepted more widely with the county, we can do more there. So I just wanted to hear like your thoughts, Principal Garner, if there were any thoughts, or how it was going from a school-wide perspective outside of Ms. Haddock class. And thank you so much for sharing, Ms. Haddock, of how well it was going in your classroom.
You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rejoice, when we think of SEL here at John Lewis, it's more than one kind of bucket, right? So overall, everyone gets SEL Fridays during electives time. That's the time where, the district has a standards of service. It says every student has to have at least 45 minutes of SEL per week. So for us, our elective times for 6th and 7th grade is about 85 minutes. And for 8th grade, it is 75. But not only do we have that, I don't know if you remember, we launched the John Robert Lewis Family and Student Service Center. Excuse me.
Yes.
Somebody thought about it. So making an announcement. We started the Student and Family Engagement Center. And so what we have done is looked at our students who are the most at risk. And again, it's not a perfect system, but I believe strongly in caseload management. And so remember, we have partnerships with communities and schools. We have 4 counselors. We have an SEL coach. We have a social worker. We have family ties. We have a partnership with Chris 180. All of these individuals in our school have a small caseload of our most at-risk students, meaning the students who have the most challenging attendance grades and discipline. And they connect with those students. They remove barriers for those students. Communities and Schools pays. Excuse me, I gotta call you right back. I'm in the middle of a meeting.
All right, no problem.
All right. That's gonna be on the live too. Yeah, we live. What I was saying was we have these partners who have small caseloads of students. So, families who are in need of, say, extended hotel stay, Communities and Schools are able to do that. Students have mental health sessions with counselors, either over the phone, through telehealth, or with Family Ties. Students have, Ms. Ellis has a caseload of students who she works with. We take students on, field trips, college tours, the whole 9 yards, right? So all of that's wraparound services and SEL as well. That care team meets every week on Tuesdays to discuss those caseloads and discuss the progress that we've made. So, the push is if these students are on our caseload for 180 days, then we should see some improvement in their attendance, grades, and discipline throughout the year. That's that accountability piece. Now, again, is it perfect? No, but we've had, quite a few success stories. So we take SEL in that moment as well. And that's why, our budget, I'm thankful and grateful for our budget because we have a high need school, we are able to have more support staff to do things like that, to be creative like that, so that teachers are not trying to do all of that. I don't want teachers trying to be counselors and mothers, but I want them to be able to focus on their craft because we have a lot of barriers or a lot of gaps in achievement. So you have to have a lot of support staff to do the wraparound services part.
I'll add some clarity because I think sort of my edge for this was saying, what are we doing for the teachers? What are we doing as far as SEL for the staff? Because that's what I got from sort of studying caseload is like, man, how well we take care of the teachers and how much we sort of add more services. I'm talking everything from like yoga to offering massages, all of the things that we know corporations do to keep great to keep great team members. We also have the ability to do at school, in which it could help definitely to kind of keep attrition high. And the studies just show, like, of course,
I welcome that. I
Yeah.
want that. Like now the budget dollars that you see right here, we can't do that with, right? The only thing now, and I believe, so we need partners, we need discretionary funds. I think the superintendent has been asking about that.
Yeah.
So what we do have, what we do have is an Oasis room where we have massage chairs for our staff, and we, try our hardest. Ms. Ellis is always going out and shopping. And Mrs. Gills to keep those spaces stacked with food, with coffee, with snacks for people to be able to go and enjoy while they're on their planning. But it's expensive, and they go in those spaces and they eat that food, but it's hard to keep that going. None of that $11 million cannot be spent on that. Right.
I'm gonna ask if we get clarity on that, because when I spoke to the director of the SEL, they're using a system that has specifically list certain incentives to offer teachers, to offer parents, to help towards the full breadth of social emotional learning to build camaraderie. And so we can talk about this offline, because I did push on that. And I said, well, they're listing these examples in this long case study that you guys are using, is that, something we could actually use?
We can use funding. Yeah, if you could get clarity, Rejoice, I would love it, because I need clarity we need, like, as far as I'm concerned, Ms. Kirkpatrick, if I'm wrong, let me know. I know that I was able to use funds to, I actually got in trouble for buying massage chairs for my staff to go into the Oasis room. As far as food and things like that to feed staff once a month, we yeah, you cannot use, the general funds or the CARES money to do things like that. But if you get somebody to say that we can and put that in writing for us, I would love like.
Okay, I'll make that my mission this week is to get more clarity. Because yeah, okay, I'll do that. Thanks so much for offering more info about that.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Who was in charge of the Brotherhood event? What was that, 2 weeks ago now? Lord.
Who was in charge? Ms. Miller. Well, it was an idea, a vision of mine that I was able to think through and knew we wanted to offer. Ms. Miller and Ms. Kirkpatrick, of course, always help to execute that, get the people here and things of that nature.
Yeah, you guys got an amazing room together. My question would be, how can I help keep that room coming out and supporting the school? Like, what can we do to make it more, not more substantial, but more structured?
Yeah, we need people like you to want to do some of these things. I mean, we have one of the guys who was here. He's come out and he has about 15 students that he's going to mentor.
Nice.
We have another group of gentlemen who have been mentoring our kids now, for a few months. They were also there. So it is, it's individuals taking time to come back out.
And when they come, do they go through the school or they do it separately? Like, how are the rules with that?
You have to go through the school. You have to do the background check and be approved. Then once you go through the background check process and you're approved, then we can work. I'm able to allow you to come to the school and mentor students.
And is that during the school day that they're coming to mentor, or is it outside of school hours?
It's a little bit of both. Some of them are coming before, and some of them are coming after. If you come during the school day, though, of course, we got to make sure it's like during a lunchtime or maybe an elective class, but cannot miss any core instruction.
Okay. I'll get with Ms. Miller on that one.
But I just want to follow up with Joyce. We are looking for partners. We are looking for donations because it's hard.
Yeah.
One of the things that I want to do is I want to feed my staff nice, not something somebody's cooking out of their kitchen, but nice catered meals because they deserve that,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
They're buying food every day. I want to provide that, but it is, the discretionary funds are limited, very limited. And if you're not fundraising, if you don't have a partner that's donating, or if you don't have people saying, hey, I want to donate food, or I want to send a masseuse out so that people can get a massage during their planning time, those things don't happen.
Yeah.
So that's,
I'm glad we talked about this because it's like, those are some of the things that we can do and lean in. Yeah, because I think your passion is to build up and support the teachers. And I just think that's so important. So we can help. That.
We have a really talented staff. We really do. We have a really talented staff of people. And I don't want to lose them.
Yeah.
And it's hard work. I don't want to lose the talented staff that we have. But if people can go somewhere and, and be treated better, that's why it's important for me to do the attendance stipends. It's important, because I want people to know that I appreciate what they do every day for our kids. Yeah. I don't mean to get off on a tangent on that, but I'm serious about that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. What's next?
Okay. Oh, wow, that was a lot, Mr. Gunner. Thank you for sharing this information. What's that? Yeah, thank you for sharing the information. I'm sure if we have any opportunity to revisit it again, we might have some additional questions pertaining the budget feedback meeting. So now we're going to move to our information item. And Ms. Rejoice, do you have any information pertaining your cluster meeting?
Yeah, so on the 17th of January, Principal Garner and I met with the Douglas cluster. And it's, if you guys don't know, it's basically just a meeting with the Douglas cluster principals, both middle school, elementary, middle school, and high school. And it's sort of the time to get a collective response on how things are going from the cluster perspective, how some of the district hand downs are affecting the school, and just add some strategy to some of the priority things that the principals are feeling, that the parents are feeling, and sort of kind of be all on board with sort of the next steps. I'm gonna drop the link here because I don't think we need to share the screen, but I was the note taker, which I'm very happy because again, the principals, they have, just getting off of work. And so I was a note taker. And so just put some comprehensive notes and summary notes of what the meeting was about. And to piggyback off of what Principal Garner just mentioned, hiring was still a huge priority, and really just having some collective strategy of how do we recruit and attract and retain quality teachers who continue to push the high level initiatives. And I think altogether that was the concern. And I would say most of the principals had is, we see teachers, great teachers leaving for a lot of different reasons, because it is a very difficult job. And unfortunately, because of the way public education is set up, they don't always receive it's not always, they don't, they're, underpaid and overworked. And so us coming together as a cluster to try to figure out what are some of the things that we can do, what are some of the initiatives that we'd like our partners to do. So even just previously what we talked about, what are the things that we are willing to tackle to ensure that we don't accept, quality teachers leaving and not wanting to come to John Lewis and not wanting to come to this cluster, but that we can pull together all of the things we can leverage in order to keep and attract great teachers. And so we talked about that. We talked about, which I really appreciated, some of the instructional trainings that were happening and how they're sort of deconstructing how best practices work inside of the classroom. A lot of that was, just talked about how they're using modeling, how they are really allowing teachers to have mentor teachers, have more space to ask questions about best practices that should happen in the classroom, which give teachers, again, more support to do the job well, because things move so fast throughout the year and you have a lot to do. And just offering teachers quality support where it doesn't just feel like a top-down situation. And I really appreciated that. We did talk a lot about math instruction and growth as a cluster priority. And a lot of the principals just laid out some of the things that were working. And so I'll just list a few. So having the targeted small group rotations, having protected time, and they emphasize protected time. And I know like teachers, really respect that. Like you can't really do the job well if you're always pull for this or pull for that. And so I really appreciated the principals really recognizing that they have to protect their teachers and their time in order to get a lot of these things done. We talked about the tier 1 trainings and how, basically the relationship between the coaches and specialists and how that goes towards the teachers and the students, and all these multi-level trainings to ensure effectiveness and those checks and balances along the way. And how to sort of, I would say, also deconstruct and demystify how that works. And so everyone is kind of clear on their role and responsibility. And so a lot of the principals saw success with that, and they're going to continue to monitor throughout the semester. Another thing we talked about was engaging families with trainings to help at home, which I really appreciated. Engaging families, engaging the parents is something, that everyone is passionate about, and sometimes you need a whole separate team to figure that out. And so having, I would say, these extra other programs to help do that is important, but also just seeing where within the school can we offer more tools for families to be able to do their job and their part at home, but things that are accessible, because we do come from populations where they may not have broadband at home, or they may not have access to internet. And so where can we lean in to fill in those gaps? We talked about more collaboration between the admin, teachers, and coaches. And then finally, what does success look like? And those, what we determine success looks like is having, not just pontificating about these things, but actually having action plans that provide, this is what success looks like to us, and here's the criteria, here's how you get there, here's who you go to when you don't know how to get there, and really like having that laid out so everyone can have access to being successful wherever they are in this full picture. And with those things being clear, we're very sure that student achievement will be the byproduct of that. And so this looks like personalized instruction, attracting and of course retaining high quality teachers, which we know will lead to incremental growth. Incremental growth is very important to understand, because sometimes just if we think about our own strategy, like we grew 5% and we're growing 5% each year, that's incremental growth. And that's like something that I think really shouldn't be shunned away from. Like, we have to take all the wins and we have to celebrate those wins, because that just leads towards people feeling like they can actually reach the full scope of the goal. And then teacher confidence. This is something I'm really passionate about. I know it's something that Principal Garner is passionate about. And it's really just like, we need to surround our teachers with everything that they need, praise them, love them, give them the resources that they need so that they want to stay, that they tell their talented friends about it, and that we can build, I would say, an ecosystem of just top tier teachers that love where they teach, even though it's difficult, but they know that they have the support from the family, from the local community partners. And so that is the state of the report. Oh, last thing that I thought was pretty cool. Frederick Douglass has their first wrestling team ever. And I would just encourage everyone, if we can, maybe this would be a cool thing that we go do one night, is really go support them. Sports in general give our students a way to kind of release, and it's an SEO approach too, but having a wrestling team, that may sound small, but it's actually really big for a lot of, the students that actually want to participate in sports, that speak more to them. And so it was cool because Dr. Taylor was at the game when she was on the phone, and we kind of got a chance to see. So shout out to the Freshman Academy, shout out to the resource center that John Lewis just opened, and shout out to the wrestling team at Frederick Douglass. So that's the report on the Douglass meeting.
Awesome. Awesome, Ms. Rejoice. That was a lot.
Yep, it was.
Cool. A lot of great things, though.
Yes.
A lot of great things that y'all discussed. Mr. Garner, do you have any additional information you'd like to share? No?
Is this no,
Oh.
I don't. It just, if this is the time to talk about the highlights, I just got a couple of highlights I want to let everybody know about. If it's not, then no, I don't have anything additional.
No, that's fine. Information. Then we have the announcements, unless you want to both the same.
Okay. Yep. So we just had the Brotherhood Summit, went really well. We had about 90 young men who were able to benefit from that. Special guest was Dr. Rashard Ritchie, who did a phenomenal job. We had our first parent data night. Man, I forget the date. It was about 2 weeks ago. First parent data night. We'll have another one after the next progress report. The purpose of those are, we want, like Rejoice was just saying, more opportunities to engage our families around what our students are doing. And to set goals, like how can you help as a parent get your child to school every day? Or how can you help your student, learn more about what they are working on? We had our first student reflection and goal setting that happened right when we came back after the break. So students were able to look at their attendance, their grades, and their discipline, and speak to, what they could do better to improve in those areas if they needed improvement. And then the last thing, we are our boys and girls basketball teams made it to the playoffs. Our girls lost last Saturday in the first round. Our boys won. So the boys are in the Final Four. We play Thursday up at Sutton on Northside Drive. We play Sutton. If we win that game, then we will be in the championship game. So cheer us on if you can come out on Thursday at 5:45. The game will be at Sutton Middle School. And that's all I have.
Are there any other announcements anyone would like to share? Of course, make sure that you complete your budget training. Ms. Rejoice and myself, one is going to reach out to you and let you know that you are one of the individuals who need to take the budget training. And if we do not have any additional announcements.
I'll say one last thing. Sorry, I know you guys are
I have one thing as well.
Okay, go ahead, Roy. I want to.
Looking forward to working with Ms. Haddock March 7th and 8th for the career fair that we're going to put on for our students. If you all have any adults that be interested in joining in, I'll put my email in the chat and my phone number as well. So just reach out to me and I'd love to connect them. I met a bunch of people from the Brotherhood Week that I'm going to reach out to as well.
Awesome. So, Ms. Rejoice, you said you have an announcement?
Yeah, I just wanted to commend everyone on the call because I just think we are doing such a great job. And I've been to, several other Go Team meetings and sort of like, and it's very difficult to be able to I was just blown away with the slide. I was blown away. I'm just blown away with, I would say, the level of organization, the level of seriousness that everyone is bringing towards it, but also it just feels like we're moving towards something really good. And I just wanted to acknowledge that it just feels good to be here. It feels good to serve because it feels like everyone is like, look, hands in, we're doing this. And I just wanted to appreciate everyone. So thanks so much. Thanks so much, Principal Garner, for leading the ship because it was a lot different when I first started. I've been here since 2018. Y'all know that. And we've done, we have made so many improvements. Thank you, Ms. Kirkpatrick, because everybody knows Ms. Kirkpatrick is just like, if I was a company, I'd be wanting to, be going for Ms. Kirkpatrick. So just thank you everyone for being here and offering yourselves because it's difficult and it just feels enlightening and empowering that everyone is still like in the fight. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you too, Rejoice. You supporting us always at the meetings, always doing what we need you to do. So thank you as well. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
All right, we have reached the end of our agenda.
Right.
Is there any additional business at this time? For the last time. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
And all in favor, please raise your hand.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? All righty, the meeting is adjourned.
All right. Have a
Y'all
good night.
enjoy.
Stay safe, y'all, if y'all still out. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Ms. Ellis.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis. Welcome.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a good night.